And with that, welcome back to Bounty Bay, the map of Season 5 here on the channel for Transport Fever 2. We're continuing today with a few smaller details, adjusting track speeds, placing speed signs, and more. This is all part of the detailing process, even if I'm not doing it at a professional level. It would be cool if the game did this automatically, but oh well, it's not the biggest task either. Still, it does take up quite a bit of time, especially here in the video. It's a bit of a dry, unspectacular job, so please bear with me as I'm still getting the hang of it. I'll take this opportunity to mention my X account, formerly Twitter. You can find me at Fabtendo X2. There you'll get updates on when I upload new videos, occasional sneak peeks, and some content from another hobby of mine that I really enjoy. So feel free to check it out and give me a follow. Yes, I'm still experimenting a lot with how I want to approach everything, playing around with track speeds and all that. It's especially challenging because I'm trying to represent an older railway system with some modern upgrades where necessary, like in curve sections where you might improve the top speed without changing the radius, if you get what I mean. And finding that sweet spot, building switch systems, track layouts, and entry areas. It's not as easy as it might look. Sure, for the experienced players among you, it probably is, but for me, not quite yet. Now things are progressing a bit more, with significantly more content coming into play. In the first city, I also want to set up a city bus line, but before that, I'm still tweaking some of the roads. I especially don't like the way the 4-lane main road is laid out, so I'm adjusting it now to make everything look a bit more realistic. Now that the first bus line has been set up and the buses have been purchased, it's time for the next acquisition, buying a train. The first rail line, though fictional, has been completed for some time now, and I was just waiting for the right moment to build a railway depot before sending a train on its journey. With that done, I'm moving on to some smaller adjustments before continuing the expansion of the railway line. Now the construction of the line continues, and I'm starting to connect more cities, though today I'll only manage to link a single one. While I'm initially focusing on extending the main line, I'll later move on to a branch line that's intended to connect two smaller towns, one of which will eventually be linked to the main network. Alright, before that there's a quick detour. Placing signals, which I had completely forgotten about until now. Right here at this point, the main line will branch off from the secondary line. Since the road and its intersection are still a bit in the way, I'm now routing the main line beneath the road, continuing along the riverbank. The branch line, on the other hand, will diverge just before the split and climb up the hillside. But before the next train line really gets underway, I'm adding another bus line, actually two, for the larger city where the rail lines will eventually intersect. After that came the long search for the right road depot, but eventually I found one that, while not entirely up to date, still fits in reasonably well in terms of style and appearance. To make sure this building doesn't look so empty, since the modern trucks don't really fit, I'm manually placing assets with vehicles that met 1990s era quite well. The pre-installed ones, so to speak, are much more modern, as the mod itself is designed to appear much later in a more contemporary setting. Now at last, the construction of the branch line begins, as I tackle the climb up the hillside. At the same time, I'm already building the station near the town, though I ended up tearing the town down again because I'm still struggling a bit with the overall concept. I want to finish the track infrastructure first before placing the town back in, since the way the AI handles the road layout isn't exactly helpful at this stage. I tore down the tunnel segments again because the tunnel ended up being too long for my taste. Instead, I decided to adjust the terrain, though that turned out to be a bit tricky, even with the bigger terrain tool mod. Since I wanted to include a small station building here, the road layout ended up looking a bit awkward. To make the station forecourt actually resemble something more presentable, I'm using Joe Fried's embankment construction mod to place some slabs, giving the whole area a more deliberate and polished look.